Jodorek here with a quick video looking at the UI in Midnight. Now, there's obviously a ton of dooming, and there is a ton that needs to be improved with the UI that I have personal qualms with, but it's not as bad as you may think. So I just want to quickly go into and take a look at this. So, you can see my UI here, and it's basic, but this is almost entirely a default UI that took me, 10 to 15 minutes to set up. There are issues with it, but you can kind of do what you want using the cooldown manager. So that can be found in gameplay enhancements, and then just coming to advanced cooldown settings, and you can shift around where and what you want. So, like, I can move my hunt around, uh, where I have it up in the top row. You can move Fell Rush. You can make this to not just be like 5 and 5. You can change how this is all set up. And you can just entirely remove buttons that you're tracking. And you don't need to use the cooldown manager either. So, for example, currently I don't have trinkets showing. Not that I have an unused trinket on right now, but if you look and let's say I'm gonna run double unused for some reason because I hate myself. So, I swap my unused trinkets on. Something else you can do is I can come here, turn on add-on or action bar 6, and then in edit mode you can change action bars. And I'm gonna do what I did to this one up here. So, this one I'm gonna drop to let's do 7 icons and up the padding just a little bit. Let's up the size a little bit too, actually. And in that case, I think I lower the padding. So, what I can then do here is this won't quite fit for what exactly I'm trying to do. So I'll reduce the icon size back down, up the padding. And I just want it to fit nicely on both sides of the cooldowns. I can show grid here, where this is not centered. Let's see. I can change that. This is more what I want. Here we go. Perfect. And then I'm going to change it from being the bar is always visible. Or actually, sorry, that I'm going to keep. But always show buttons, I'm going to turn off. So now, you can't actually see that there's an action bar here. But you can put things on it. And specifically, in the case of my trinkets, I can put a trinket here, and I can put another trinket on the other side here. So, I would need to keybind these. Currently, I don't have them keybound. But there are things that you can toy around with, and this isn't set up, exactly perfect. You can see it's not quite sitting in the frame perfectly, but this is an option as well. So I can have my trinkets showing here, even if I don't keybind them here. In fact, I don't even need that to be a macro here, because I'm not actually pressing this button. My trinket's being pressed through my V keybind, which is on an action bar off to the side. So I can show it, and I can have them showing here, while not actually pushing it through that. And I could do the same with, let's say, my belt. And my belt is my... I'll put it in here. Currently, this is a button that is bound. Previously, this would have been my Netherwalk keybind, which Havoc doesn't have anymore. But I can go find a mob to knock with my knock belt. And when I do that, you're going to see, even though I'm hitting Control V or just clicking the button over here, I can see my cooldown now over here with my other consumables, and like this would be where my Hellstone goes. So that's a nice feature that you can make it look like this now and move things around like this while not actually seeing the bar, and there's a good amount of freedom to what exactly you want to do. Now, I do have some problems with this. While I think this actually looks pretty nice, and I'm kind of happy with how everything is currently landing for the alpha, or sorry, now the beta, my apologies. There are definitely improvements I would love and need to see. Specifically, when it comes to this cooldown manager, there are buffs that I want to track that I can't show. and just the way the buffs are tracked, I do not like. So currently, when you track buffs and you put them up here in the buff bar, their positions are set, which means if I gain Metamorphosis, it won't be centered. It'll be in that left part where it was set up to be. I wouldn't have a problem with this being an option you could have enabled, but I would really like if I could make it so that it force centers them like you would with a weak aura group. And while there's a ton of buffs and debuffs that you could track that aren't necessarily useful, there's ones that are missing that you want to. You also have issues with things like Immolation Aura, where when I press it, it then changes the idea of Immol Aura and removes it from the buff bar even though it was previously showing. And now, every time I press it, it's only tracking a specific Immolation Aura, and it's not tracking the correct one. So only one Immolation Aura ID seems to be getting tracked, and it is the second Immolation Aura that gets cast. Every other ID is ignored. And again, I need to know when I have multiple Immolation Auras up. That's something that is very important to know as a Havoc DM Hunter. And that is not something that you can do anymore. So there are changes I definitely need to happen. There's also problems with Nameplate specifically. While there's a lot that you can change about nameplates now, you can't blacklist certain debuffs, so I'm going to, for example, when I play Dance, I'm going to apply Master of the Glaive, and Trail of Ruin, and Burning Wound. You can't blacklist those and have those filtered out anymore. So when I come out and I look at hitting a mob, you're going to start seeing all the debuffs. So Master of the Glaive isn't shown, but Serrated Glaive, Trail of Ruin, Burning Wound are shown, even though they don't do anything. So I have some problems with that. Plus, for some reason, names are very spotty about when they'll show and when they won't. I think maybe it has to do with whether they're neutrals. I don't know why I wouldn't want to see the names of a neutral mob, but I guess I can't. However, this is something that add-ons can do. The one thing that is an add-on that I'm currently using, there are other things that I will, especially if I play on beta more, or, once we get into Midnight, I will want to edit this more. Like, I don't like player portraits being part of the targeting and my player frame. And there's, I believe it's better Blizzard unit frames to get rid of that and change the look of these. So that's already something that you can do. But what I have here is this Fury bar, which very cool that it does this. I didn't know this was something that would work this way. It actually comes in as part of edit mode, but this is from a add-on. This is from Sensei Class Resource Bar, which shout out to them for making this because it's pretty cool and it works better for or works in a way where you can have multiple bars for some specs. There's a secondary resource bar, but Havoc doesn't make use of this. Devourer can. Also, if you're playing something that, say, has... What's a good example? Like a rogue spec that has energy and combo points. Then you have two different resource bars for that. And because it's in the edit mode, you can actually manually change everything in here. Everything to do with the width and height can be changed. The actual scale itself, whether it's synced to the size of one of your cooldown bars so that you don't have to manually size it if you don't want to, how you want it to show up, whether, you have a target selected or you're in combat, or if it's always hidden. I don't know why you would do that. I've been told that you can add your own fonts to the game, but I can change the font of the resource as well as changing the size. Personally, I'm going to keep it on the frizz that it's currently on. Whether you have a font outline and everything can all be changed as well. So a lot more options in here than any of the base game, but I do actually really like that this is something that can be put into the edit mode of the game itself from an add-on and make it work. Now, currently, from my UI, you may notice some things missing. Like, there is no damage meter. While the damage meter shows up in edit mode, it doesn't work or pop up yet. But this is something that we are going to have, and there is some editing options to it. So that's something that we will get in the future. You can also see where my boss frames will be. my boss timeline, which is the built-in in-game one now. Again, the only add-on that I have is that Sensei class resource bar. So outside of my Fury bar, everything else is in the base game. So I just do want to mention that the base UI for the game has gotten significantly better. It's been getting better for years now, but it has gotten significantly better going from the War Within to where we are now, many months out from when Midnight will release, and it's going to continue improving from here. So I'm hopeful, even though there are things that I would like to see changed. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to make a little bit of a video on this because there's a lot of misinformation. It seems like a lot of people think that the UI for the game isn't going to be getting better, which is not the case. There's a lot of people that seem to think add-ons are banned or entirely being removed. That's also not the case, not really at all. And while, we're looking at a world without weak auras or without LVUI, that is because enough functionality for what those add-ons do has been removed that the makers of the add-ons do not wish to continue making it or putting the work in to entirely make it function going into this new expansion where they'd need to possibly recode it from the ground up. However, a lot of the functionalities that those add-ons do will still be possible, and it is very likely we will continue having new add-on makers picking up the reins and leaving, not necessarily picking up where they left off, but picking up with similar add-ons to change things. There's already add-ons to edit mob frames, like nameplates. There's unit frames, there's ones for, as you see here, the resource bar, and we will still have a lot that can be changed when it comes to making our UI look better, even though we're going to be losing access to, weak auras and LVUI, and definitely going to be other add-ons as well that will mostly be getting filled in. That's really about everything. I am a bit optimistic, even though there's a lot that I know needs changing and I'm not happy with. I believe that they have the time to make this a lot better before the expansion drops and to continue to improve the base game's UI. And as someone that's been playing Fellowship recently, I actually do really like that we're moving towards having your UI be something that's done in the game, not something where you need to do a lot of research and learn a lot of other tools unrelated to the game from custom add-ons to actually make it work. But in the game itself, you can edit and move everything pretty simply, very easy to understand how to do, with a little bit of tweaks that you're going to want to make on your own anyways. And as I mentioned, Fellowship, this is something that's big. Game doesn't have add-ons, but you can do a lot with your UI, and I'm very happy with my UI on there. Plus, there's just a simple export code. So I could just share the add-on, or not the add-on, sorry, I can share my UI to anyone that would like it just by giving them that code. And that's something that likely is going to be possible with the edit mode. I'm not sure exactly how the importing and sharing is going to work because of the fact that add-ons will interact with this, but I am hopeful that when you have the same list of add-ons as a content creator, if you just want their UI, it's going to be as simple as take their code, paste it in, and you'll be good to go. You'll need to move, whatever around on the bars, but that's about all you'll need to do. So, at the very least, there are some positives in regards to what is going to be changing in Midnight, and I just wanted to clear up a lot of confusion and misinformation that's being spread around, that this isn't simply all negative, luckily. Now, that's everything for this video. If you'd like to catch me live, you can at twitch.tv/Shodarek. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.